G'day viewers, how you doing? The DRS Class 20 Cargo Line Volume 5 Nuclear is out. So let's take a look at what you actually get. So let's go into rail journeys first. So if I get these right on West Coast Main Line South, there is a nuclear chapter in the journey for nuclear rail services with the Class 20, which has got 3 scenarios and 2 of the services in it. And if we pop back out of here, back into rail journeys again, if we go to West Coast Main Line Preston Carlisle, or West Coast Main Line Shap, as most people call it, there is another journey chapter here. And this one has the 47.4 High Blue and the 47.4 HILL. And there are quite a selection of services with the FNA wagons and 3 scenarios. So that might even be all the services. No, it's not quite all the services, but it's certainly a lot of them. All right, let's pop out of here again and let's go to Train Depot. It took me a little while to figure out how this worked, to be honest, because it's a little bit here and there in the way the timetables are working for nuclear. So, Class 20 RF, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 services. No, we don't. We have 2. Yes, because these are steel wagons. Okay, so it's subbing in for other things. It's based on the Tees Valley Class 20, so it subs in all over the place, which is why it got confusing, because it's turning up in the West Somerset Railway, and I don't think they have nuclear flasks. But anyway, there's this one, Cargo Line Crew Sidings. Join a run south conveying empty flask wagons to Dungeness Power Station and Dungeness and back again. There's a surprise. Now, the way Adam does scenarios is they're more like timetable services than anything. He might take a weird path or he might have some unusual events happening in it, but they are generally like timetable services and they don't generally tend to tell you what to do, and that's fine. All right, so let's have a look at the routes. So there's 3 routes that you'll see it on. Let's start with Riviera. Now, this one was actually done by Rivet. They put this in here. So if we have a look at the Class 66 and we go and find the DRS, you'll see that there's 2. Drive this empty nuclear flask train from St David's to Plymouth and drive this loaded nuclear flask train from Plymouth to Exeter Riverside Yard. So they basically both run the full length of the route. Now these ones, it's a double-ended Class 66. There are some passenger coaches for the security escort and the flask wagons. So that one doesn't use the Class 20. All right, so let's come back out here and let's go to West Coast Main Line South. London, Euston, Milton Keynes. Scenarios-wise, we've got Cargo Line, so that's this one. It's not that one, I don't think. No, it's this one. So this is a run south conveying empty flask wagons to Dungeness and the run back. So they're the same ones that we saw in the journey. All right, and the other place we can find it is West Coast Main Line Preston Carlisle. So scenarios here, there's a few. There's, where are they hiding? There we go. So this is a nuclear one. Run into Sellafield is being disrupted by protesters. You must take the long way around via Carlisle. And Haitian Crew Sidings, collecting some empty flask wagons off the harbour branch and commence the run south to Crewe for storage. And run north, conveying spent nuclear fuel from Berkeley Power Station to Sellafield British Nuclear Fuels. I'm terrible at saying nuclear, have you noticed that? And that's it, I think. That's all of those ones. But if we go and have a look at timetables, and we'll go through the same 3 routes. So Riviera we don't need to do because we've done that one. So West Coast Main Line South, we'll have a look at the timetables this time. And nuclear, and we'll go and find our Class 20. And there we go. We've got 4 timetable entries with the Class 20 on London Milton Keynes doing various tasks. And if we pop out of there and we go back to choosing a route, and we go to West Coast Main Line Preston Carlisle and go into timetable, pick the nuclear timetable, And we want to pick the 47. There it is, 47.4. I don't know that it actually matters which one you pick, but if we filter... There we go. Filter on nuclear. There's quite a few services in here which do various things using the 47.4 and nuclear in here. So, yeah, quite a lot of extra services on the West Coast Mainline SHAP. Some of them are short, some of them are moderate. There's a couple of really long ones. So, yeah, looks like a bit of fun there. But, of course, I assume you want to go and look at... Oh, training. Yes, training. There is training for this thing. So if we go to the train modules and wait for it to load up, and go to the class 20 and the 20 RF, there is... This one's the cargo line. Learn the basics operating the class 23 diesel locomotive. It's actually a fairly good training tutorial. I've done a run-through of it for my own tutorial. So it's actually quite a good one. It covers it from a cold start, which is quite nice. It's unusual in the game to find a cold start. I haven't found any services that are a cold start yet, but, you know, it's good to know. Good to know. So let's have a look at one of these. And let's have a look at the class 20 in particular. So we'll have a look at West Coast Mainline South. If I can type. And timetable, nuclear, class 20, and let's pick the one that's in the daytime, because that would be good. Let's just get rid of dynamic weather because it's annoying, and jump in and have a look at the train. Now, I have found a few things that are a bit weird, and I just want to carry over from Adam. So I've had a chat with Adam about the train, and he's actually given me a little bit of a list of things that are coming in a future patch. So let's just get in here and let's just hop out so we can have a look at the beast. So we'll just leave that sitting there throbbing away, rock and rolling as it were. Adam says the bonnet end headlights can't be controlled by the bonnet facing headlight switch. There's a wiring error, so that will get sorted out in a future patch. The 20 doesn't appear in the formation designer, but the FNA does, so that will get fixed in a future patch. He considers that there's too many elephant-oriented double-head consists in free-roam formations, and they've all been swapped to nose now. And the suspension on the FNA is too stiff, so it's been loosened up. So the FNAs don't move very much. Incidentally, the 20s are the opposite. You may have noticed them bouncing around a little bit when we spawned in there. So just moving around in the cab was enough to make it have a bit of the jiggles. Now, I have found a few issues, so I have reported all these, and I'll just cover it. There's no way to do a contact signaler from inside the cab. If you run into something, the loco just goes bouncy, bouncy, bouncy like a rabbit. The headlight hotkey only runs the headlights from one of the desks rather than the active one, so it's always one desk. You need to use the switch manually otherwise. The horn is initially great, but I have noticed the high note becomes barely auditable sometimes. I have occasionally seen the amps drop off, and that's the way it is, I guess. I think the Tees Valley one does it too, so the actual locomotive is a little bit different to the others. Let's go and pop the headlights on, actually. We should do that. Find the hotspot. Let's just go and sit in the chair. Oh, cool things. You can make the seats rotate, and you can change the height. But let's go and just hop in here. Let's put in our master key. The master key only goes into this controller. There isn't one for this controller. And we should now be able to put our headlights onto night. Will do fine. Because, you know, it's kind of early in the day, so night will be fine. So have a look at that. So the big tail discs and things are gone now. And we have got the modern headlights, and they are reasonably bright. It's quite a striking livery, unbranded of course, because it is DRS, but unable to secure a license for this purpose, so it isn't licensed. You can get to the battery box on the other side. You might be able to get to it on this one, actually. Yes, so you can get to the battery box and turn on and off the switch. Handy for cold starts and shutting them down if that's your thing. Where's our little fuel cap? So there's a fuel cap which it's animating over there. That's interesting. But the hotspot for it's over here, which is a little bit weird. But that's okay. You can fill them up. Good stuff. When you join them together, this cable miraculously appears between them, and when you uncouple them, it miraculously disappears all by itself. You don't have to put it in there. And this is, of course, the F&A wagon, which has handbrakes. Oops, if I can get on there properly. There we go. And they go from off to on, and you can see the indicator on the bogie, which is kind of cool, really. You can try and open the cover, but you can't because they're locked. You can check the lock. Kind of cool. I guess that's something in the duties that needs to be done. So we can check this one. And we can check the lock like we're supposed to. So the actual wagons themselves look pretty cool. Not sure if you can get up onto here. Can't quite squeeze on there. But, so you can't ride them, unfortunately. That would be cool. Oh, I don't want to give it up. I'm just messing around. So yeah, they look pretty cool, the wagons. I haven't spotted anything wrong with the wagons at all, actually. Apart from what Adam told me about the suspension being quite stiff, which it very much is. The locomotives, it's basically a re-liveried and external model changes for the Tees Valley Class 20. Now, they are reasonably good. I have driven a real Class 20, so I'm actually kind of happy with the acceleration and braking on these things. I have no idea what that switch does. I have to ask Adam. I keep looking at it going, oh, I want to pull it. But handbrake's got some nice noises. Quite subtle. The new cab has the 2 desk positions. They are duplicated, of course, across the 2. So it's a modern version of it, including telling you which lights and things are on. There is a panic button. Now, one thing I have noticed is there doesn't seem to be... Ooh, I didn't know you could open that. Ooh, fuses. Not much you can mess with, but it's there. There's 3 things to do TPWS. So you turn on the change ends lever, turn on AWS, and unisolate TPWS up there. And you can tell it which desk is driving. Which is which, actually? That's an interesting concept. Which is which? I wonder how you figure that out. I didn't actually touch it when I was driving on this side, so I assume that's desk 1, and that must be desk 2. That would make sense. There's another switch down there for DSD, which you can turn on for the driver's safety device, and it covers both desks. There is a non-functional panic button, which you can press should you desire it. It doesn't do anything. And reset, you've got to just find just the right spot to push somewhere, it'll reset. It's a bit finicky. It does work, though. I've managed to do it. Let's get right in the end. No, just keep pressing around there somewhere. It'll unpress sooner or later. It doesn't do anything anyway, so even if I can't release it right now, I've released it so many times and now I can't do it. Bye. Anyway. Instrument lights, nice modern LED backlit lighting. There's a cab light which you can turn on and off. Doesn't do much at this time of the day, of course. Does when you're running at night time. GSMR. I haven't found a way to contact signaler, so there's no hotspot on either telephone or the SG button here or the signaler button here or the emergency button here. Let's just keep trying to reset this. Get out of the chair. Let's go and get out of the chair and do it this way. I've done it so many bloody times and now I can't do it. Sigh. Anyway, you do get a fair selection of stuff with the nuclear side. And it's good to have another Class 20 variant in the game. I quite like the Class 20, so having a modernised version of it is pretty cool. Oh, there is one thing I have to show you. I really do. So let's get this one running. It is Rail Driver compatible. Brakes off. Let's get into forwards. Acknowledge that. Ooh, I had it set on full throttle. But let's just hop out of the cab for a moment. Let's go somewhere where we're going to be able to see the smoke. Is that a good spot? Where's the sun? Well, the sun's on that side, isn't it? Let's come up here then. So we can actually see the smoke barf out everywhere. Look at that. Gritters galore. Says he driving off with the brakes on. But that's okay. There are some quite nice sounds. There has been adjustments to the sounds in the train. There's nice rail clacking sounds. Brake squeal is excellent. The brakes feel quite like they should to me. They're a little bit slow to react, and having driven a real one, that was a bit slow to react as well. And the acceleration seems to be about spot on. They're not sprightly. They're only 1,000 horsepower each, but they're not slouches either. So they are quite reasonable. Now I drove this thing in my tutorial and set it all up, so have a look at that if you want to have a look at it driving. But yeah, actually kind of cool. Let's pop out and no, maybe not pop out that side. Oh, we don't have a platform on either side. Let's pop out of here and we'll just go and have a quick look at the other services. I'm not going to drive them in this early preview video. So, like I said, I have found a few things that are not quite right, and there's the things that Adam has passed on to me. Adam Lucas from Skyhook, of course, the developer of this particular system. So let's just go on to West Coast Mainline Shap, Preston Carlisle, and we'll go into timetable, nuclear, 47.4. I don't think it actually matters which one you pick, but let's pick a Shap locomotive. Because, you know, a Shap locomotive is going to work better on Shap than anywhere else. Did I just not pick a nuclear service? I didn't, did I? Because I'm an idiot. Yes. Yes, I'm an idiot. Okay. I'll leave this in, though, because, you know, yep. It's fine. Or did I luck out? No, I did not. All right, back to the main menu. Let's do that again, shall we? My apologies for being an idiot. So we'll dive in here, and we'll have a look at one of these. Just look at the formations, and then we'll have a look at the one on Riviera as well, because that's slightly different again. Right, to the trains, choose a route, West Coast Mainline, Preston, Carlisle, and nuclear, 47.4 blue. We shall pick that one. There's actually a couple, so there's, yeah, there's two that have got them. Let's get out of dynamic weather. Light clouds, and let's actually do the right thing this time and filter by nuclear and just pick one. That's in the middle of the day. That'll be fine. And we shall have a quick look at the formation. I've driven a couple of services so far. I'll be driving some more before we go. And here we have a 47.4. And we have the coaches for the security personnel and 2 flask wagons. I kind of think the coaches would also provide some braking power, because just having the flask wagons is not that exciting from a braking perspective, I have to say. Short trains actually can be a little bit harder to stop than long trains, believe it or not. So, yeah, that's the formation for one of these ones. And if we pop out and go to Riviera, we can look at the DRS Class 66 version. So we'll pop out there and have a look at that. And this formation's actually from Rivet, who put it into the route. So it's using the Skyhook FNA flask wagon. And we'll just, in a moment, when we get to it, and we want Riviera, don't we? Now you will find, and we want the 66, there we go, and we want the DRS 66, And we want, oh, let's just take that one. This is the nuclear flask train. We should see two 66s and some flask wagons. I think it's got the coaches in it from memory as well. So we'll just quickly check this out when we get in there. There we go. It's a little early in the morning because we picked November. There we go. Direct Rail Services 66 and the Skyhook FNA wagons, which is pretty cool. And there's the security coach and another Class 66. Set up well with its headlights on. Oh well, that's not Cargo Line's fault though. That's the setup for Riviera. But that's okay. All right, we'll pop out of there just so it's quiet. And that's about it for the quick show off for this. It's not an enormous number of services you get for the Class 20, but there are some scenarios. I think I mentioned that Adam's scenarios, the way he does them, they're more like a service. They don't really guide you through very much, but they usually do something a little bit unusual compared to the timetable services. So you've got that to look forward to. There's quite a few scenarios to play through. While the 20 has got a few issues here and there, I think it's worthwhile. I reckon this one's a goer. And yeah, you could have some fun with it in free roam too. I fully plan, for example, to recreate the video of crashing a locomotive into a flask. Because you should. Definitely. Go out there and do it. There's a convenient, I haven't tried it yet, but there's a convenient track on East Coast Main Line where there's a track that crosses at near right angles. I'm going to use that one. And you can put out a formation with just the FNA, so it's what you need. Alrighty, that's about it for my thoughts on this one. So I need to play through some more of the services and the scenarios to get a really good view of this. But I think it's got a couple of issues, but it is pretty decent. So yeah, I think for the price that you're going to pay for it, which is bugger all, it's well worth the money. So, new variety, new cargo, glow in the dark. Yay, mushroom cloud. No, not really, no mushroom clouds. Although, you know, that might be what that panic button's actually for. But anyway, have fun, enjoy yourselves, and we shall see you later. Bye now. Oh yeah, any questions, chuck them down below and I'll see what I can do to help you out. Let me know if you're interested in Cargo Line Volume 5 Nuclear. Alright, bye.
We played a game.